What is going on, everybody? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be looking at Ahsoka Yellow, which I think is a pretty fun deck. Before we get into today's video, make sure to check out my Patreon where I do in-depth articles on all sorts of decks, and definitely the decks that I do videos on as well. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I also do more giveaways, deck techs for members. So it's just a really great thing we got going on, so make sure to check it out even as a free member, and then please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate all your support. Alright, so with this deck, we're just trying to push damage as quickly as possible. Ahsoka is just a kind of a different variety of aggro, so we're trying to activate its coordinate ability, which allows us to +1 one of our units, which that subtle damage adds up quickly, and then we're using things like Surprise Strike, Heroic Sacrifice, Hotshot Blaster in the main board to push damage, as well as Ahsoka's lightsaber on our Ahsokas. And then we also have Breaking In the sideboard for some of those other matchups where we just want to race faster than our opponent. What do I like about this deck? What stands out to me? I like the units that we have that we can go wide with. Like, it's very easy to go wide in here. Leia is extremely valuable to this deck. For turn one, we can, we have basically 12 1-drops because of Leia. So we can, ready a resource on turn one and squeeze in another unit so that we can start putting that pressure and activate coordinate as early as turn 2 with our attacks. Leia is also just incredible at dealing with really powerful units or leaders and just exhausting them, which helps us to gain tempo. We also have Waylay in here to kind of slow things down if our opponents start playing bigger units than us that can trade more favorably. Surprise Strike and Heroic Sacrifice are just incredible in here at really helping us push the damage. And then, Ahsoka is just an awesome leader. My one reasoning for, preferring like Sabine or Jango is that Jango has better tempo and that Sabine comes out a turn earlier, right? But Ahsoka is extremely powerful. It comes out, and if you get a lightsaber on it, it's an 8/6 if you have 3 units on the board, which is very easy to do. So, like, swinging for 8 power with your leader on your 5 resource turn is very strong. There's a lot of potential there. I think it's just kind of continuing to tweak this deck. I like the yellow version so far better than the other ones because of things like Surprise Strike and Breaking In, and just being able to push damage like that. I also really like having Leia in here. It makes so much sense with this deck because you really want to get as many units down on the ground as often as you can early on in the first 2 turns. Like, if you can get 3 units out, on average the first 2 turns. I mean, if you hit the nuts draw, you can get 4 units out in the first 2 turns. So that really helps you to close the games out extremely fast. You're aiming to win these games by the time you flip. A lot of times you win before you even get a chance to flip, which happens more often than not, and you don't even need to flip Ahsoka. So our turn 1 plays are going to be Greedo. We have 3 Greedo, 3 Cartel Turncoat. Greedo, of course, trades favorably if we need to play a little more defensively on the ground. Cartel Turncoat is just a solid space unit with 3 HP and 2 power, and we really don't care about our opponents drawing cards. I think the only time we're really taking that card out is against like control, because we don't want them to draw cards. Soldier of the 501st is a 2/3 on attack. Of course, with Ahsoka's ability, it becomes a 3/3, and that's relevant because a lot of times there'll be situations where we use Ahsoka's ability to actually trade up so that we can kill a unit on our opponent's field to kind of slow them down, and especially if we're able to stay alive, like a Soldier of the 501st swinging for 3 damage into a Sabine Wren, for example, on turn 2. If we have coordinate, is a way for us to trade favorably where the soldier is still alive, and we take out one of their units. That's a potential Darksaber target. So, and then of course the Leia play, where we ready a resource on turn 1, which I definitely do that a lot. I try to save Leia to exhaust things for sure against certain matchups where it makes a lot more sense and it's going to be much more impactful, but there's other times where I just want to push damage as quickly as possible. So it really depends on the situation, but Leia also mid-game just it just becomes a huge tempo play, especially like we're racing with our opponent and we could just play a layer for just 2 resources at 4 or 5 resources when our opponent's about to swing in big with like a dark sabered unit or a 4 or 5 powered unit and keep up the pace with us as far as damage, and then we just completely stop them in their tracks. And it's just been really, really impactful in this deck. Some of our other turn 1 plays are Green Squadron, of course. Sabine Wren is a great turn 1 play, and L337, which a lot of times we smuggle it out to, it's those decks that are trying to capture things like with Cad Bane and whatnot. But it's also just good against Jango Fett because it has a shield. You could argue that you could play Crafty Smuggler in here. That's definitely like, if there's a card that's just waiting in the wings to come in here, that's the first card I would want to put in here because it comes in shielded as well, and it really helps you against Jango. But I mean, the thing with Jango too is like we're a deck that goes wide, so Jango can't exhaust all of our units. It can only exhaust 1 per turn most of the time, unless they have like a Van Base Flamethrower on a Jango Fett, which, as far as I can tell, that's not the more prevalent version. So I think in total we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 turn 1 plays. So we are really, really pushing out. We're trying to get 2 units on the board on turn 1 as often as we can. Then we have red 3 to kind of pump up our deck that goes wide. Most of our units are hero units except for Greedo. And then Falcon, Falcon we typically don't play it on turn 2 unless we need to come in and kill something in space. But we usually use it around like 4 or 5 resources. We really only need 4 to 5 resources. Well, really 5 resources in this deck to get Ahsoka out. And then Falcon, we don't care about its tax because everything in our deck is so cheap that most of the time the tax doesn't even affect our ability to play cards if the game is still going on at that point. And Falcon, of course, is another way to push damage. It's, it can play defense. It's like a surprise strike out of nowhere for 3 resources, but it's a unit. So it's just very, very good in here. The Batch Brothers is a new card. It's pretty cool. It allows us to activate our coordinate ability. I mean, getting a 2/1 and a 2/2 for 3 resources is very valuable, especially in this deck. So it's felt good in here. And those games where we go really, really wide, it just pushes our board state even wider, which just makes us have too many things to defend. Jesse is nice. So Jesse you have to be a little careful with. Sometimes you don't want them to get the droids, but then sometimes you're like, whatever. It's basically a 5-powered unit, and you're swinging him for 8 damage with surprise strike. So Jesse can just really, really close games out. Honestly, Jesse's one of our better closers because of how powerful it is. I mean, Heroic Sacrifice, we're swinging it for 7. Surprise strike, we're swinging it for 8. Even if we just have Ahsoka's ability activated, we're swinging it for 6. And it only costs 3 resources. So most of the time it's worth it, but sometimes it can be a little tricky and you have to be careful. The Ahsoka unit, again, I've been very unimpressed with that card throughout testing. Especially in this deck, like there's, I really want to use its ambush ability, right? And it's like the only decks that are that's going to happen are like Kylo Red or Kylo Yellow, more red in that case. And then like droid decks and clone decks. And those, how relevant are those? Not that relevant. And even sometimes against the clone decks, we still go wider than them. So the ambush ability just very rarely comes into play, and I end up resourcing that card most of the time. To be honest, that card is really, really like if it didn't have synergy with the leader and like the lightsaber, it would be one of the cards that I'd be very much like lowering the number of it because it's just been very underwhelming. Like I'd much rather play Jesse or I'd much rather play Batch Brothers in a situation where I'm not ambushing, and I'm pretty much always not ambushing. So just a card that I haven't been impressed with. I've been trying to see, to find a situation where I can get it to work, but in every deck that I've played it in, I always have the same amount of units or more units than my opponent. So a couple waylays in here just to kind of give us a little bit more tempo too, because we do such a good job of pushing damage that sometimes our opponents can get really, really big things on board that become a big problem. And if they spend all their resources on it or they put a dark saber on something, that just gives us a really, really strong way to deal with things kind of alongside Leia to kind of just shut them down in their tracks. And like I said, everything in our deck is really cheap, so we can play Waylay alongside one of our 21 turn 1 units at 5 resources to really kind of swing the tempo in our favor. And then 3k to SO is our, our big time closure that we heroic sacrifice in for 9 damage or surprise strike for 7. Just really kind of pushes that damage and closes things out for us. The heroic sacrifice play, of course, is one of our best plays, and the heroic sacrifice is in here for that play, but also just as a way to draw cards subtly while we're pushing damage, just to kind of keep the momentum going. In Ahsoka the leader, again, I spoke about it. Its ability, because we're going so wide, oftentimes we're able to activate it. Sometimes you have to be kind of like strategic about how you play things so that you can, maybe attack with a certain unit first and see what your opponent does before you commit to the board, so that they don't, especially if they're playing like ECL, you want to make sure that they don't come in to kill one of your units before you try to use Ahsoka's ability, but you have to attack him with a unit that you're afraid might die. So it's very much like push and pull, waiting and seeing what your opponent does, so we can try to get that ability online and get that extra damage in. And then when it flips, I mean, it's always a 6/6 for the most part. I mean, it's just a very strong unit. I really, really, the flip turn feels really good as a top end finisher in this deck as well. And of course the lightsaber. I'm only playing 2 of the lightsabers because we have other cards in the deck that push damage better. And like I said, the unit that would makes you want to play that lightsaber, it's felt very underwhelming. And even the games where I had both in my hand, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I just ended up resourcing it anyways because other cards were just better. So that's why I'm only playing 2 of the lightsabers. 3 felt like too much because it putting it on a unit didn't always feel that great if it's not immediately getting in for extra damage, because our opponent can easily kill a lot of our units because they don't have a ton of HP. So we want things that immediately pay off. 3 Daring Raid in the side that's coming in for like control decks, just as an additional way to push damage early on. And we'll probably take out like Cartel Turncoat for that. It's an easy switch, a 1 resource for 1 resource. And Cartel Turncoat gives them the ability to draw cards when they kill it, so we don't want that. The 2 Bamboozle is another way to exhaust things, and if we're playing a deck that has a bunch of lightsabers, we're bringing that in. 3 Spark Rebellion, of course, for like mid-range and control, to take away their barrages and their big removal spells. And Breaking In is just really just dependent on, I would say definitely decks that have a lot of Sentinels, but also just decks where we might want to race a little bit more and maybe cut down our Ahsoka units or something like that, just to get in for more damage when we feel like we want to race our opponent, have as many ways to push damage as possible. But this deck's been really fun. I really enjoyed it. It did very well in testing that you'll see from these games, which I was surprised by, because when I was testing it on Force Table, I had some issues at first. I think I kind of got the hang of how to play it, though. But yeah, I mean, it's a good one. It's definitely fun. I think Ahsoka is one of those leaders that's gonna get better and better as we get more and more cards. Like, it has so much potential, and as we get better and better 1 and 2 drops as more cards are released, this is a leader you want to pay attention to. But let's get into some games. Okay, so our hand is Leia into Jesse, which is not the greatest. I mean, we could play a resource to make Leia a 4/2, and then resource heroic sacrifice Leia, or Waylay. I mean, does Leia 4/2 matter? I mean, it's something. It makes it somewhat worthwhile, right? I'm just not a huge fan of this hand. Yeah, that's definitely better. So definitely let go of Greedo and Ahsoka, because Ahsoka never gets ambush. I mean, it's got decent stats. It's just that other hand was just kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, yeah, I don't care if they ECL to trade Greedo. That's fine. That other hand was just kind of like too much had to go in our favor. Like, Jesse is like questionable against Sabine because they're already pushing so much damage on us. Okay, well, that's fine. Anakin's Interceptor, okay. It's fine as long as he doesn't have Wing Leader. Okay. I guess if he has Wing Leader, we'd use Waylay. So what are we doing here? I think we're holding on to Leia. If he goes Wing Leader, then we just... Well, Wing Leader's not going to work on this card. So... we want to save Leia for next turn, right? Let's see what he does here. Get him with Greedo, because Greedo getting ECL is fine. Okay, he didn't do it. Okay, so we're going to do this then. Do we want to Waylay? Possibly. Problem with that is that we don't. I'd rather play units than save the Waylay. If we had a 2, I guess we had the green A-Wing, we could have done that, but let's just do this and then pump up Cartel as a 3/3. Could actually take out this Interceptor, which I'm not opposed to doing. Okay. Yeah. Do I want to do that? No, I want to save that. Definitely Hotshot Blasters goes to the resources. I'd say we're doing okay so far. See what happens here. Is he going for Greedo? Yeah, he's probably just... No, he's not going for Greedo. Alright. Well, let's definitely go action ability. Get in for 4. If he deploys Sabine, we exhaust Sabine immediately. If he plays something else, we might waylay it. Okay, he played something else. That's not... We'll see here. Okay. We're in pretty good shape. Are we just exhausting Sabine? Green A-Wing, okay. So our other option is we play Leia to go wide, and then we create a resource, go back up to 3, and then we can play Batch Brothers, especially because we're on the offensive at this point. I'd say that is a pretty good strategy. It's going to be pretty hard for our opponent to stop us. I think if he was going Darksaber, it would be easy just to exhaust. But at this point, we're just going to go as wide as possible. And stick with the theme and make it just really difficult to deal with our deck. We flip Ahsoka next turn too, so we should have game. I would say the best way that they could get out of this is like... It's hard to say. To be honest, but maybe like a heroic sacrifice or a Darksaber. But we could just waylay anything but Sabine, I guess. Okay, he went face, which is interesting. We're immediately just gonna start attacking in. I wish we had something for that. Like a good target. I mean, I guess we're just gonna use action ability, go Greedo. Get in for 4. Go up to 18. Heroic sacrifice. One of our ground units probably. Yep, he's going there, okay. Go ahead and waylay the Jin Urso. He can swing in for what? 6, 9 damage? That's not enough. Just make sure. Alright, Heroic Sacrifice. Get that out of here. Okay, well that's something. Definitely. So what we do here is we just get in with Cartel. Did he claim the initiative just now? I'm not sure why he did that. Okay, good game. Alright, no mulligan here. Gonna resource red 3 and Sabine. Got a solid curve, gives us different options depending on where our opponent goes. If we want to arena dodge, probably use Falcon on the 5 resource turn, I would imagine, to push damage to try to close the game out before they can really start gaining life on us. But we'll see. Really depends on what they do. I would say ideal cards for us to draw into would be like Heroic Sacrifice, Surprise Strike, just so that we can try to close the game out as quickly as possible. I mean, we have good, solid units. Okay. Alrighty. Don't need 2 Jessies. K2SO is going to be really good against them. What's its ability? I mean, we definitely want to take out that card. Echo. We don't want Echo to start being a menace, so we're just going to kill that. Echo is just gets so strong as the game goes on. I don't know if I want to give him droids with Jessie. I guess so. Oh, he already claimed the initiative, okay. So he can definitely kill Sabine, it's fine. Surprise Strike's good. Because of how things are going, I'm feeling like Red 3 is going to be less effective, and K2SO is just the card we want to play this turn. Okay. Interesting. So because he did that, we're going face here. I guess I could have killed a unit. Okay. Each friendly clone unit gains when yeah. Yeah. Giving him clones doesn't feel great, does it? But we're just gonna go to his face. Okay. Ouch. That's a big one. Yeah, game's not going great. He claimed the initiative, which is odd. We're at 5. I like our damage pushers. I'm not sure I want to have Batch Brothers here because I want to get in space a little bit. Ouch. That takes out everything. Yeah, he's hitting all the right things. The Jessie that we did was awful. Do I want him to discard or deal 3 damage? I guess deal 3 damage. Alright, let's go. Let's go K2SO. If he wants to kill it, he can. Okay. Deploy. I go face. He might claim. Okay. We're going to claim the initiative now. We're going to get in for 9 with K2SO. And basically just try to race him to the finish line with Heroic Sacrifice and Surprise Strike. I don't think we need a resource anymore, right? No, well, maybe we want to play Falcon. Okay. Oop. Got him with that. I didn't realize they only had 24. Good game. So, Heroic Sacrifice for the win. That was a close one, though. That Separatist Super Tank was definitely tough. Okay, what am I resourcing here? I hate to resource both of our damage pushers with Heroic Sacrifice and Surprise Strike, but I like the flexibility that Leia gives us because it allows us to either exhaust a unit or to put another resource down to squeeze in another unit on turn 2. Or even turn 3, so unfortunate. Okay, good game. Alright, up against Bossk Green here. I think turn 1. Probably go... We could smuggle this out later, right? Yeah, so let's do that. Ahsoka just feels like... And I guess we need units, right? They have bounties in this deck, so I have to keep that in mind too. Okay. And Barrage. I think Barrage is our nightmare card. Jesse's not bad. Red 3 gives us a unit in space. I think we're letting us Ahsoka go. Ahsoka. Okay. He has ECL too, that's something to keep in mind. So Jesse at least makes it harder for him to deal with it. Red 3 is a good target to just get killed with ECL. If he has like Consortium, or even just another 3-powered flyer, like a mercenary gunship or something. Or that, yeah, exactly. So, we made the right call. I'm not sure how much these space units are going to be relevant this game. Double Surprise Strike here. It's not the worst. Just want to power through with Jesse. Swing in for 8. Doesn't feel bad. Then swing in for 6 more. That gets us to 17 damage. And then next turn we can Heroic Sacrifice 1. So feels pretty good. He may have ECL here to kill Sabine. 4 resources. That would be the best thing that he could do. Because we should have actually got rid of... Okay. Yeah, get into 17 feels good. And then just claim the initiative. As long as Jesse lives, we Heroic Sacrifice it for 7 damage. Okay. And then we have Ahsoka to finish him off, so... I mean, Bossk can ECL, or not ECL, can barrage us, but I don't think that's enough. We also have Falcon here. We don't need red 3, so it's going to be some combination of these cards. I'm trying to think, do I want to just send out just heroic sacrifice Jesse for 7 to start off? He wants to kill our Sabine with Toro Calican, right? So if we heroic sacrifice that, we get to 22. Jesse's harder to kill. Is that the right choice? Let's go heroic sacrifice for 5 to get to 22. Draw a card, got a Jesse, which is interesting. Deathmark. Okay. Good game. Alright, looks like we have a turn 1. I have a couple things here. You can do turn 1 Leia plus Cartel, which feels pretty good. You could also hold on to Leia to exhaust Anakin turn. And then just play Sabine. And then let go of Ahsoka, maybe? Would you like to mulligan? No, no mulligan. Just trying to think if I want to. I like the idea of having Leia to slow Anakin down. I mean, Ahsoka can definitely just take Anakin out, but we need to have a way to exhaust it. So if we get rid of that, what are we getting rid of? Cartel and Falcon, and then we're going to be weak in space. Because then we go Sabine, Ahsoka, hold on to Waylay, save Leia for the Anakin flip turn. Decisions, decisions. I think that's the best route. Falcon we don't want to spend. Well, I guess I'm okay with Falcon. Yeah. That's weird. And our opponent has conceded. What is up with everybody just being like, I'm done against this deck? I mean, I know it's scary, but like, come on. Come on, man. Alright, what do we got here? L337 into... I mean, Ahsoka's actually going to be pretty good here. So we're going to let go... Oh, since we're keeping Ahsoka, I want to keep the Padawan lightsaber. So get rid of Cartel and... possibly red 3? Yeah. I think so. I mean, if he plays a 2-2 like Echo, okay, put a 3-3. Want to go red 3 here? No, I still not thinking. I mean, red 3 is definitely good because it pushes damage, but Soldier next turn. Well, next turn we can play Ahsoka plus Ahsoka's lightsaber. So let's just go red 3. He's got to ECL something. He did not. Okay. That's fine. I will take that. Red 3 definitely helping us there. Okay. Surprise strike's good here. Do I want to just go wide though? thinking Ahsoka at this point is not the card I want anymore because our opponent is not creating a bunch of troopers at this time. So it's just Falcon Cartel, which feels pretty good. Just to get in for more damage than our opponent. Ouch. We can definitely surprise strike that actually, which I think is worth it. Interesting. Why did he do that? It's very interesting that he decided to do that. Okay. Pass. Okay. Are we going Falcon here? Are we going Leia here? We're at 5 resources, so we want to have the... I mean, Leia seems pretty good. He has the initiative, so he could ECL something. I would imagine he wants to kill Red 3, but... Okay. No ECL there. Interesting. Didn't see that coming. ECL would have made a lot of sense. Yeah, we're just gonna exhaust. Leia's been huge for this deck. Just being able to push those you know, exhaust those leaders and just put our opponent in a situation where there's nothing they could do. We're just gonna pass. 5 resources is really all we need in this deck. Occasionally we get to 6, but most of the time, no. Is that... Yep, okay. We lose Ahsoka, but we win the game. So, good stuff. Good game. So, back for the post-game wrap-up. Cards that I was most impressed with were Leia. Leia was just amazing in these games. Like, just setting up those tempo plays, exhausting things, pushing the game in our favor was really awesome. What else felt really good? I mean, just pushing damage with Surprise Strike and Heroic Sacrifice was nuts. The Waylays felt right, having those in here. You know, I got a feel for this deck. Some of our opponents made some really interesting plays. You know, I mean, I get the last one there with the Echo Base. He was trying to hold the initiative to try to take out our space unit, and he thought that the Echo Base would at least slow me down. But, you know, some of our opponents definitely made some misplays. But overall, I thought it performed very well. I don't think there's anything I would change at this point. I have tested this list out quite a bit. Again, the Crafty Smuggler is the one card. Like, if you're running into a ton of Django, I'd probably switch that in. And to be honest, like, I think it's Ahsoka. Like, if you're gonna put Crafty Smuggler in, and like I said, I was not impressed with it. So Crafty Smuggler to me is probably the card that I would change, if anything, because it just feels wrong, like taking Ahsoka out of here. But I don't know. It felt very underwhelming for a legendary. I get it. It's like after it gets on the board, it doesn't do anything. You know, that's my issue with it. And 4 HP is not like a ton, so it's very easily removed. I mean, yeah, you can send it back to your hand, but yeah, I just wish the Ahsoka's lightsaber gave you like maybe 1 HP. You know, like +2, +1. Then it would be a lot more relevant, because then it would be a 5/5 on turn 4 for 1 resource, and that would be crazy good. But yeah, but that's about it. I mean, I think this is a fun one. Definitely check it out. Definitely let me know how you've been playing Ahsoka, or which version you like to play, whether it's green or yellow. But I do like yellow because of Surprise Strike. I think and breaking in. I think it really helps you to close games out quickly and to catch up if you get a little bit behind. And I like having the access to cards like L337, Crafty Smuggler, even, and Leia Organa. But as always, y'all have a good one, and peace